You're sitting in seat 23A, and there it is, those mighty roarers under your plane. The jet engines. Ever wondered how they actually work? Jet engines are the heart of an airplane, generating the power needed to take off, cruise, and land safely. Imagine you're blowing air through a straw really hard. You can feel the wind rushing out at the other end, right? Well, that's kind of what jet engines do, but on a much bigger scale. They suck in air, compress it, mix it with fuel, ignite it, boom, and then push the exhaust out super fast. And here's the surprising part. There are actually two main types of jet engines: turbofans and turboprops. But for now, let's focus on turbofans, which you'll find on most commercial jets. Think of a turbofan like a giant fan with a tiny motor inside. The big blades suck in air from all around the engine. Then, after being compressed by a series of fan-like blades, this air gets mixed with fuel and ignited. The combustion turns into super hot gas that shoots out at high speed through a nozzle, creating thrust. Incredibly rare, but sometimes you might see visible exhaust or flame coming from these nozzles, especially on takeoff when the engines are working extra hard. So there you have it. Jet engines are like giant, powerful fans pushing an airplane skyward. And now you know a little more about how they actually work. Okay, let's dive into the heart of the jet engine. You're sitting in seat 23, and when suddenly you notice something changing. There's a loud rumble as the aircraft is about to take off. You look out the window and see the engine starting up. Here's what's happening. Imagine your car's engine, but bigger and way more powerful. In a jet engine, air flows in at the front through a series of fan blades that are spinning incredibly fast, much like the blades on a ceiling fan. This air is then compressed into a smaller space, making it denser. Think of squeezing a balloon to make the air inside push harder. And here's the surprising part. This compressed air isn't just pushed out. There's fuel injected into it and ignited in a combustion chamber, the same way spark plugs ignite fuel-air mixtures in a car engine. The explosion is incredibly powerful, pushing out hot gases at high speed through an exhaust nozzle. This rapid expansion of gases creates a thrust force that propels the plane forward, just like how your car's engine turns gasoline into motion. So, you're sitting there and suddenly feel that push as the engines ignite, and the plane starts to move down the runway. The key takeaway is this. A jet engine works by using air, fuel, and ignition to create a forceful exhaust gas flow, which pushes the aircraft forward. It's all about converting energy into motion. So now we're diving into the heart of how a jet engine works. Imagine you're sitting in seat 23A and everything is quiet. Just you, the engine, and the vast expanse outside the window. You wonder, how does all this metal actually make that plane fly? Well, it's like a symphony orchestra, but with just four main parts: the compressor, the combustion chamber, the turbine, and the nozzle. Each part has a specific job, working together seamlessly to get you where you're going. First up is the compressor. It's like a giant fan that pulls in air from outside. As the engine spins, its blades push this air into a smaller space. Think of it as filling a balloon really fast. Each breath becomes more and more compressed. This compression is crucial because it's those tiny, high-pressure bits of air that will eventually burn with fuel to create thrust. And here's the surprising part. The combustion chamber comes next. Once the air gets super compressed, it zooms into a narrow space where fuel is added. Imagine adding a little bit of gas to your car's carburetor. Then, in an incredibly hot and controlled explosion, both mix and ignite. It's like lighting a match in a tiny bottle. Whoosh. And just like that, the air and fuel burn together. But what does all that burning accomplish? That leads us right into our next part, the turbine. The heat from the combustion chamber is so intense that it powers the turbines. You can think of them as giant spinning gears that spin because they're being heated on one side and cooled on the other. It's like a water wheel spinning due to the force of falling water, except here, it's the extreme heat that makes everything turn. And finally, there's the nozzle, the most visible part from outside. Once all this hot gas is pushed through the turbine, it gets blown out at incredibly high speeds through the nozzle. Imagine squirting a garden hose with both ends closed. When you open one end, water comes out super fast and powerful. That's what happens here, but with air instead of water. So there you have it. Those four main parts working together like a well-orchestrated symphony to get that plane flying through the skies. It might sound complex, but at its core, it's just a giant machine powered by simple principles. As you're sitting in seat 23A on your flight to the sunny skies, quietly enjoying the pre-recorded safety video, you always do a few minutes of work. You begin to feel that familiar rumble underfoot as the engines come alive. Imagine the engine is like an incredibly powerful vacuum cleaner. Only this one's been scaled up to the size of a small house and given a whole lot of power. The first thing you'll notice is those compressor blades spinning at an astonishing speed, like a fan on overdrive, but unimaginably more efficient. These blades are sucking in air from every direction, almost as if they're creating a partial vacuum. The air rushes into the engine, just like when you use a vacuum cleaner to clean your carpet. And then, something incredible happens. The fuel gets injected into this swirling mass of compressed air. It's like adding kerosene to a campfire, igniting it instantly and setting off an explosion in the combustion chamber. But here's where things get really cool. When you ignite the fuel, it doesn't just burn, it burns incredibly efficiently, creating high-temperature and high-pressure gas. This high-temperature and high-pressure gas isn't just hot air, it's a powerful force. Think of it like a supercharged version of your car's exhaust system, but much more intense. This gas gets pushed through the turbine, which is essentially a series of spinning blades that catch the rushing gases. It works just like a water wheel in an old mill. Except here, instead of being turned by flowing water, these blades are spun by the force of rushing hot gases. As you watch, those spinning turbine blades start to turn, and with them, they power the rest of the engine systems. They're not just spinning idly. They're generating enough energy to spin the compressor blades even faster, creating a self-sustaining cycle that keeps the whole thing running smoothly. And then, here's the part most people don't know. This high-temperature and high-pressure gas doesn't just disappear. It's accelerated out of the nozzle with such force that it creates an enormous backdraft. Imagine blowing into one end of a straw submerged in water. Instead of going down, the water gets pushed up. The exhaust gases do essentially the same thing to the air around the plane, pushing it backward and propelling the plane forward. So there you are, feeling the rumble grow louder as the plane begins to roll down the runway. With each rotation of those compressor blades, pushing more air into that combustion chamber and igniting a rapid explosion of energy, the plane gains speed until eventually it's off the ground, shooting up into the clear blue sky. And here's the surprising part. Despite their complexity, jet engines are incredibly efficient and safe, with multiple redundancies and backup systems in place to ensure reliable operation, which is why flying is still one of the safest modes of transportation. Imagine you're sitting in seat 23A when suddenly the cabin lights dim. The stewardess announces a brief stop at an airport for some maintenance checks. You wonder, is there something wrong with our engines? Of course not. Jet engines are designed to operate reliably and efficiently. But like any machine, they have backup systems to handle emergencies. For example, if one engine starts acting up, the pilots can switch to a backup system that will keep the plane flying safely. The efficiency of jet engines is another marvel. Think about it this way. Imagine you're running in the park. Your legs are like the turbines. They push against the ground and you move forward. Now, picture your heart as another turbine. It pumps blood throughout your body, just like the engine pushes air through the fan at the front of a jet. In both cases, there's an incredible amount of effort going into moving something, whether it's your legs pushing you or the turbines pushing the plane forward. Jet engines are incredibly efficient. They convert more than 90% of their fuel into thrust, making them some of the most powerful and efficient machines on the planet. And because of these efficiencies, jet engines have multiple layers of safety features. For example, there's a backup fuel supply that can kick in if something goes wrong with the primary tank. The engines also have sophisticated monitoring systems that alert the pilots to any issues before they become critical. So, as you soar through the skies, you can feel confident in the power and reliability of these magnificent machines. The next time you hear the whirring sound of an engine during a flight, remember, it's not just making noise. It's doing its job incredibly well, keeping your journey safe and smooth. So, to answer your question, a jet engine works by using a combination of air, fuel, and ignition to produce a high-speed exhaust gas that generates thrust. And now you know the basics of how these incredible machines power your flights. Imagine you're sitting in seat 23A when the engines start up, and you can see them rumbling, glowing, and spewing out those powerful jets of fire. You might think it's just a loud noise, but there's actually a lot more going on. The engine pulls air in from all around it, mixes it with fuel at high pressure, ignites the mixture, and then blasts the hot exhaust gases out the back, exactly like a giant rocket strapped to your plane. That's how we generate enough thrust to lift off the ground and soar through the skies. And here's the surprising part. This process isn't just about power. It's also incredibly safe. The technology behind jet engines is constantly improving, ensuring that they operate with reliable performance and minimal risk. Engineers are always working on efficiency, reducing emissions, and enhancing safety features. That's why flying is one of the safest ways to travel, far safer than driving or even walking in many cases. Now that you know more about how these amazing machines work, I hope you feel a little less nervous and much more curious about your next flight. You can see now just how powerful yet sophisticated jet engines are, all working together to get you where you need to go. So, if you want to learn more about the fascinating world of aviation, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more explained Simply videos. Who knows what other secrets we'll uncover together?